I'm sitting at my desk in my lake house cabin, signing the last few catering contracts for my daughter Emma's wedding this weekend, when suddenly blinding floodlights blast through my windows. 4 black SUVs with tinted windows surround my property like I'm some kind of terrorist. Karen Hilton steps out of the first vehicle with 2 men in dark suits, and my heart just drops to my stomach. You know that feeling when your worst nightmare walks right up to your front door? That's exactly what this was. "Mr. Coleman," she shouts through a megaphone, her voice cutting through the evening air like a chainsaw. "We have a court order for immediate evacuation of this property. My niece's wedding will be held here this Saturday." I'm staring through my window, watching this woman, who's made my life hell for 2 years, as president of our homeowners association. Karen's got that same smug expression she always wears, like she owns the entire world and everyone in it. Behind her, those 2 federal agents are taking pictures of everything. Saturday, that's 3 days away. Emma's wedding is supposed to happen right here in 3 days, and I've already paid $15,000 for catering alone. I step onto my porch, and Karen marches right up to my steps like she owns the place. "You heard me, Coleman. Federal investigation, ecological violations on the lake. You've got 48 hours to clear out and cancel whatever little party you had planned." "This is my property, Karen," I tell her, trying to keep my voice steady. "I've lived here for 12 years. My daughter's getting married here on Saturday." She pulls out a thick manila folder and waves it in my face. "Not anymore. Environmental Protection Agency found serious violations. Illegal dock expansion, boundary encroachment, water contamination. The works." One of the suited men approaches. He's got this artificial federal agent look. Cheap sunglasses, budget suit that doesn't quite fit right. "Sir, we need to inspect the premises immediately. Step aside, please." But here's what I'm thinking as I watch this circus unfold. Something doesn't smell right. I spent 22 years in the Army, and real federal agents don't work like this. They don't show up at sunset with theatrical lighting and megaphones. They come with warrants, badges, and proper documentation. Karen's standing there with her arms crossed, practically vibrating with satisfaction. 48 hours, Coleman. That's generous considering the severity of the violations. The second agent is already walking around my property with a camera, snapping photos of my dock, my gazebo, even my truck parked in the driveway. Every click of that camera feels like another nail in my coffin. "I want to see some identification," I demand. The first agent flashes something quickly, too quick for me to read. "Environmental Protection Agency. We're conducting a preliminary assessment." My neighbors are starting to gather at their fences. Mrs. Patterson from next door, the Johnsons from across the street. I can see them whispering, pointing. Some look concerned, but others look like they're enjoying the show. Emma's car pulls into my driveway just as Karen's delivering her final ultimatum. My daughter steps out, takes one look at the scene, and her face goes white. She's wearing her work clothes, she's a lawyer downtown, and she immediately switches into professional mode. "Dad, what's going on?" Karen turns that predatory smile toward my daughter. "Your father's been violating federal environmental regulations, dear. This property is being temporarily seized pending investigation." I watch Emma's expression change from confusion to horror, to something that looks like barely controlled rage. She's got my temper, that girl. Always has. "Show me the paperwork," Emma demands. Karen hands over the folder with theatrical flair. All legitimate, signed by the appropriate authorities. As Emma flips through the documents, I catch her eye. She gives me the slightest shake of her head. Something's wrong with these papers. My lawyer daughter can spot fake documents from a mile away. The agents finish their photo session and walk back to Karen. Initial assessment complete. Property needs to be vacated within 48 hours for comprehensive environmental testing. Karen's practically glowing with triumph. "Such a shame about your little wedding plans. Maybe next year you can find a venue that doesn't violate federal law." That's when I know for absolute certain, this isn't about environmental violations. This is personal. This is Karen Hilton trying to destroy my daughter's wedding day, and she's willing to impersonate federal agents to do it. The SUVs pull away, leaving nothing but tire tracks in my gravel driveway, and the sick feeling in my stomach that my little girl's perfect wedding just went up in smoke. The next morning, I'm barely finishing my coffee when Karen shows up at my door again. This time, she's got those same 2 federal agents with her, plus a clipboard thick enough to choke a horse. "Time for the official inspection, Coleman," she announces, pushing past me into my living room like she owns the place. The fake agents spread out through my house, and I swear they're making it up as they go. One guy points at my ham radio, the one I use for fishing reports in emergency weather, and declares it suspicious communication equipment potentially used for coordinating illegal activities. "That's a fishing radio," I tell him. "We'll be the judge of that, sir." Karen's following behind them with her phone, recording everything. Every bookshelf, every family photo, even my coffee mug collection that Emma made me in high school pottery class. She's narrating like she's some kind of documentary filmmaker. "As you can see, there's clear evidence of anti-government sentiment," she says into her phone, zooming in on my old Army commendation certificates hanging on the wall. Multiple military decorations, communication devices, isolated location, perfect for planning subversive activities. Have you ever wanted to grab someone by the shoulders and shake some sense into them? Because that's exactly what I'm fighting the urge to do right now. The second agent emerges from my bedroom holding my tackle box. "Suspicious chemicals," he announces, "could be used for making explosives." "Those are fishing lures and line weights," I say through gritted teeth. "We'll need to confiscate these for testing." They're actually stealing my fishing gear and calling it evidence. Emma was right. This whole thing is a complete sham. But here's the problem. Even fake federal agents can cause real damage when half your neighbors think you're some kind of domestic terrorist. Karen steps onto my back porch and starts measuring my dock with a tape measure, making exaggerated gestures for her phone camera. "Illegal extension into protected waters," she declares. "Clear violation of federal waterway regulations." I built that dock 12 years ago with proper permits. I've got the documentation in my filing cabinet, but somehow I don't think Karen's interested in facts right now. My phone rings. It's Thomas Anderson, the Homeowners Association treasurer and my neighbor for 15 years. We used to fish together every Sunday morning. "Jack, I heard what's happening," Thomas says, and his voice sounds strange, nervous. "Look, I need to tell you something. There's going to be an emergency HOA meeting tonight, 7 o'clock at the community center." "About what?" "About your situation. Karen's called for a vote on your membership status. Says you're a security risk to the neighborhood." The line goes quiet for a long moment. Thomas and I have been friends since the day I moved here. We've shared beers on his porch, helped each other with yard work, complained about Karen's ridiculous HOA rules for years. "Thomas, you know this is all garbage, right? You know I'm not some kind of terrorist." Another long pause. "Jack, I can't get involved. I'm sorry. I just can't." The line goes dead, and I realize I just lost my oldest friend in the neighborhood. Karen's poisoning everything she touches, turning neighbor against neighbor with lies and fear. The fake agents finish their inspection and hand me an official-looking document demanding I vacate the premises within 24 hours. They've cut my time in half. Karen signs it with a flourish like she's the Queen of England. "Community safety is our top priority," she tells her phone camera. "We cannot allow potential terrorist activity in our peaceful neighborhood." After they leave, I sit on my porch steps holding that bogus eviction notice, watching my neighbors peek through their curtains at me like I'm some kind of dangerous criminal. Mrs. Patterson won't even make eye contact when she gets her mail. Emma calls around noon, her voice tight with anger. "Dad, I've been researching those documents. The letterhead is fake. The signatures don't match any real EPA officials, and the case numbers don't exist in any federal database." "Can you prove it?" "I can prove it to a judge, but not to a neighborhood full of scared people who think you're building bombs in your basement." That evening, I walk into the community center for the HOA meeting, and it's like entering a courtroom where I'm already guilty. The room's packed, biggest turnout I've ever seen. Karen set up a projector and has a whole PowerPoint presentation ready. She clicks through photos of my house, my dock, even my truck, each one labeled with dramatic text about security concerns and federal investigations. The neighbors I've lived next to for over a decade are nodding along like she's presenting absolute truth. "The question before us tonight," Karen announces, "is whether we can allow an individual under federal investigation for potential terrorist activities to remain in our community." I stand up. "Karen, you know damn well..." The federal agents have documented clear evidence of suspicious activity. She cuts me off, clicking to a photo of my ham radio. Communication equipment, chemical storage, isolated location, military background with obvious anti-government leanings. The room erupts in whispers. I can see fear in their faces. Real fear. Karen's turned me into their boogeyman, and they're buying every word of it. The vote is unanimous, 18-0, with 2 abstentions. Even Thomas won't look at me when they call his name. As I walk out of that community center, officially declared a security risk by my own neighbors, I realize Karen hasn't just stolen my property. She's stolen my entire life here. And my daughter's wedding is tomorrow. I drive straight to Murphy's bar after that disaster of a meeting. Murphy's is the kind of place where nobody asks questions and everybody minds their own business. Exactly what I need right now. I'm 3 sips into my whiskey when someone slides into the booth across from me. It's Rick Morrison, former HOA auditor who quit 2 years ago after some kind of falling out with Karen. He looks rough, unshaven, bloodshot eyes, clothes that haven't seen a washing machine in days. "Heard about your little problem with the feds," Rick says, signaling the bartender for a double shot. Word travels fast. "Jack, those weren't federal agents." Rick downs his whiskey in one gulp. "I know because I helped Karen hire them." My glass stops halfway to my lips. "Come again?" Rick looks around the bar, then leans forward. That's her cousin Danny and his theater buddy from community college. She's been planning this for months. Fake badges, fake documents, the whole 9 yards. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I'm sick of watching that woman destroy people's lives." Rick's hands are shaking as he pours from the bottle the bartender left. "She did it to the Hendersons last year. Got them evicted over septic violations that didn't exist. Sold their lakefront property to some developer for triple what they paid." I feel my stomach drop. "Developer?" "Lakeshore Development Group. Karen's been feeding them prime properties for 2 years. Gets a cut of every sale." Rick pulls out his phone and shows me a photo of official-looking papers. "She's already got a preliminary sales contract for your place. $2.4 million. The room starts spinning. This isn't about my daughter's wedding or homeowner association rules or even personal revenge. This is about money. Big money. "Rick, why didn't you report this before?" He laughs, but it's not a happy sound. "Report it to who? Sheriff Davis? He's her brother-in-law, county prosecutor. Karen ran his campaign last election. The whole system's rigged, Jack." "Do you have proof?" Rick reaches into his jacket and pulls out a small digital recorder. "I've been recording her for 6 months. Every meeting, every phone call about fake violations and forced sales. She thinks I'm too drunk to be a threat." He presses play and Karen's voice fills our booth. "The Coleman property is perfect. Lake access, 3 acres. That stupid old man will never see it coming. Danny just has to play federal agent for 1 day. We file the fake environmental report and boom, another property for Lakeshore." I stare at that little recorder like it's a winning lottery ticket. "Rick, this could save everything." "Could, but Karen's not stupid. She's got contingency plans. If anyone challenges the federal investigation story, she'll claim I'm a disgruntled drunk making up lies for revenge." Rick pockets the recorder. My word against the respected HOA president who's just trying to protect the community. Back home, I find Emma sitting on my porch steps, still in her bridesmaid dress from the rehearsal dinner we had to cancel. She's not crying, but her eyes are red-rimmed and angry. "Dad, I called every venue within 50 miles. Nothing available on this short notice. The caterers want their money either way. The photographer's threatening to sue if we don't pay his full fee." I sit down next to her and put my arm around her shoulders. "Emma, I'm gonna fix this." "How?" "Half the wedding guests think you're some kind of terrorist now. Mom's family is asking if the wedding's even safe to attend. Aunt Sarah wants to know if she should call the FBI to report suspicious activity. My ex-wife's sister never liked me anyway, but now she's treating me like I'm actually dangerous. Karen's poison is spreading faster than I thought possible." "There's something you need to know," I tell Emma, and explain everything Rick told me about the fake agents and the property sales scheme. Emma's expression shifts from despair to cold fury, the same look she gets in court when she's about to destroy an opposing witness. "Dad, if we can prove this," big if, Rick's evidence might not hold up. and Karen's got half the local government in her pocket. Emma stands up and starts pacing. Then we need more than just Rick's recordings. We need to catch her in the act. What do you mean? I mean, we let her think she's won. We let her proceed with the fake federal seizure, the property sale, everything. But we document it all. Real documentation that will hold up in court. I look at my daughter's determined face and realize she's not just a bride whose wedding got ruined. She's a lawyer who just found her case. Emma, that's incredibly risky. If we're wrong about any of this, Dad, do you trust me? With my life. Then we're going to war against Karen Hilton, and we're going to win. As we sit there planning our counterattack, something occurs to me. Emma, even if we expose Karen's scheme, your wedding is still tomorrow. The guests, the caterer, everything's already ruined. She smiles. The first real smile I've seen from her in 2 days. Who says the wedding's ruined? Maybe it's just going to be more memorable than we planned. That night, as I lay awake staring at the ceiling, I realize my daughter's right. Karen picked the wrong family to mess with. She wanted a fight? Well, she's about to get one. The next morning, Emma's actual wedding day, I wake up to the sound of hammering. I look out my window, and there's Karen with a crew of workers putting up an 8-foot fence around my entire property. Posted signs everywhere. Federal investigation in progress. No trespassing. Emma's already on the phone when I get downstairs, talking fast in her lawyer voice. Yes, I understand the situation looks complicated, but the wedding is still happening today. 2 o'clock, same location. She hangs up and looks at me with grim determination. Half the guests are backing out. The other half think we're crazy for going through with it. Maybe we are crazy. Dad, I've been thinking about this all night. Karen's making one huge mistake. She's so confident in her scheme that she's getting sloppy. Today's the day we catch her. I pour coffee and watch through the window as Karen directs her workers. She's wearing some kind of official-looking vest now, playing the part of a federal coordinator. Every few minutes, she stops to take selfies next to the investigation signs. What's the plan? I ask Emma. First, we need allies. Real ones, not fair-weather neighbors. She pulls out her phone. I called Jacob Turner. You remember his dad from your Army unit? Jacob works for the security company Karen hired for the fake fence crew. How do you know Jacob? We went to high school together. He called me last night after his shift. Dad, those aren't just construction workers out there. They're actors from the same theater group as Karen's fake federal agents. Through the window, I watch one of the security guards checking his lines on a crumpled piece of paper. Another one's practicing his serious federal agent expression in the reflection of his phone. Emma continues. Jacob's going to document everything from the inside. Every fake badge, every rehearsed line, every payoff Karen makes to these actors. My phone rings. It's Thomas Anderson, and he sounds panicked. Jack, I need to tell you something. Last night after the meeting, Karen came to my house. She knows about Michael. Michael is Thomas's son. A good kid who made some bad choices with drugs a few years back. Got clean, got his life together, but still has a record. What does that have to do with anything? She said if I don't vote to support the federal seizure of your property, she'll make sure Michael's past problems become public knowledge. Maybe even suggest he was involved in whatever terrorist activities you were supposedly planning. I feel that familiar rage building in my chest. Thomas, she's blackmailing you. I know, and I'm sick of it. Jack, I want to help, but I can't risk Michael's future. He's finally got a good job, a girlfriend he wants to marry. I understand. But as I hang up, I realize Karen's been playing this game longer than any of us thought. She's not just stealing properties, she's collecting secrets, weaknesses, leverage against every person in this community. Emma sees my expression. Bad news? Karen's been blackmailing Thomas, probably others too. Good. Good? Emma grins. Dad, blackmail is a felony. The more crimes she commits, the harder she falls when we expose her. Around noon, the fake federal agents return with even more official-looking paperwork. This time, they've brought a local TV news crew, Karen called them herself, to document the dangerous terrorist property being secured by federal authorities. I watch from my kitchen window as Karen gives an interview to the reporter, pointing at my house like it's some kind of bomb factory. The reporter's eating it up. This is probably the biggest story to hit our sleepy little town in years. Mr. Coleman has been under surveillance for months, Karen tells the camera. The federal agents discovered evidence of chemical storage, illegal communication equipment, and potential connections to domestic terrorist networks. The reporter nods seriously. What kind of threat level are we talking about here? Significant enough that we had to evacuate nearby residents and cancel a large gathering that was scheduled for today. That's when it hits me. Karen's not just stealing my property. She's destroying my reputation so completely that even if I prove the federal investigation is fake, people will still think I'm dangerous. Mud sticks, even after you wash it off. Emma appears at my elbow. Dad, it's time. Time for what? Time to get ready for my wedding. I stare at her. Emma, look outside. There's a news crew calling me a terrorist and a fence around our property. How exactly are we supposed to have a wedding? Trust me. She pulls out her phone and shows me a group text with about 20 numbers. I invited some special guests, people who aren't afraid of Karen Hilton or fake federal agents. Who? Your old army buddies, my law school friends, Rick Morrison's drinking buddies who hate Karen's guts, Mrs. Chen from the flower shop, who Karen tried to shut down last year over fake permit violations, Dave the caterer, who's tired of Karen's harassment about his food truck licenses. I look at the list of names on her phone, people Karen has hurt, intimidated, or threatened over the past few years, people with nothing left to lose. Emma, this isn't just a wedding anymore. This is a rebellion. Exactly. She kisses my cheek. Now go get dressed, Dad. We've got a war to win. As I head upstairs to put on my wedding suit, I can hear cars pulling up outside despite the fence and the news crew. Emma's army is arriving, and for the first time in 3 days, I'm starting to believe we might actually pull this off. But I also know Karen's not going to give up without a fight, and she's got more tricks up her sleeve than we've seen so far. By 1:30, Karen's perfect plan starts falling apart right in front of the TV cameras. First, my old army buddy Marcus shows up with his Harley and parks it right next to the news van. Marcus lost his leg in Afghanistan, but he's still 6'4" and built like a tank. When Karen tries to tell him he can't be here because of the federal investigation, he just laughs. Lady, I've seen real federal investigations. This ain't it. Then Emma's law school friends arrive, a whole caravan of them. They set up folding tables right outside Karen's fence and start passing out flyers titled, Know Your Rights, How to Spot Fake Federal Agents. Karen's fake agents are looking nervous now. One of them, Danny, her cousin, keeps checking his phone like he's waiting for permission to run away. But here's where Karen shows just how far she's willing to go. She pulls out her own phone and calls someone, speaking just loud enough for the news camera to pick up. Yes, this is Karen Hilton with the Homeowners Association. I need to report an illegal gathering at a property under federal investigation. Armed individuals refusing to comply with federal orders. Armed individuals. She's lying to the police about my wedding guests being armed, hoping to get someone hurt or arrested on camera. Emma sees what's happening and immediately starts recording everything on her phone. Dad, she just made a false police report on live television. The reporter's still interviewing Karen, completely unaware that he's documenting multiple felonies. Mrs. Hilton, how long has your association suspected Mr. Coleman of the terrorist activities? We've had concerns for months. Secretive behavior, unusual purchases of supplies, anti-government rhetoric. When we finally contacted federal authorities, they confirmed our worst fears. I'm watching this from my porch, dressed in my wedding tuxedo, and I swear I've never wanted to throw someone in the lake more than I want to throw Karen right now. That's when Rick Morrison shows up, and he's stone cold sober for the first time in months. He walks straight past Karen's fence like it isn't there, past her fake agents, past the news camera, right up to my front door. Jack, he says loud enough for everyone to hear, we need to talk. Karen spins around, panic flashing across her face. Rick, you can't be here. This is a federal crime scene. Is it? Rick pulls out his digital recorder and holds it up where everyone can see it. Because I've got 6 months of recordings that say otherwise. The color drains from Karen's face. She knows exactly what's on that recorder. Rick presses play, and Karen's voice booms across my property. The Coleman property is perfect. Danny just has to play federal agent for one day, we file the fake environmental report, and boom, another property for Lakeshore Development. The news reporter's jaw drops. The fake agents start backing toward their SUVs. And Karen goes into full panic mode. "He's lying!" she screams. "Rick Morrison is a drunk and a liar. He's been harassing me for months." But Rick's not done. He presses play again, and this time it's Karen talking to someone about the Henderson property. Same playbook as always. Fake violations, scare the neighbors, force the sale. These people are too stupid to question federal authority. Emma steps forward with her phone still recording. "Mrs. Hilton, as an attorney, I need to inform you that you've just committed multiple felonies on live television. Impersonating federal agents, filing false reports, fraud, conspiracy. Karen's fake agents are climbing into their SUVs now, but Jacob Turner, our inside man, blocks their exit with his pickup truck. Nobody's leaving until real law enforcement gets here," he announces. That's when the sheriff's department arrives, but not Sheriff Davis, Karen's brother-in-law. It's Deputy Martinez, a young officer who doesn't owe Karen any favors. "Ma'am," Deputy Martinez says to Karen, "I need to see some identification from these federal agents." Danny, Karen's cousin, tries to flash his fake badge, but Deputy Martinez takes one look at it and shakes his head. "Sir, this is a novelty badge you can buy online. You're under arrest for impersonating a federal officer." The news camera is capturing everything as the fake agents get handcuffed. Karen screaming about her rights, about how this is all a setup, about how she was just trying to protect the community. But here's the thing that really breaks her. Thomas Anderson shows up. My old friend walks through the crowd, past the cameras, past the chaos, right up to Karen, and he says, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Karen, I'm done being afraid of you. Michael's done being afraid of you. This whole neighborhood is done." Then Thomas turns to the news camera. "I want everyone to know that Karen Hilton has been blackmailing residents of this community for years. She's been using our secrets, our mistakes, our children's problems to force us to go along with her property theft schemes." More neighbors start coming forward. Mrs. Patterson admits Karen threatened to report her Medicare fraud if she didn't vote against me. The Johnsons reveal that Karen blackmailed them over their son's DUI. One by one, Karen's house of cards collapses on live television. As Deputy Martinez leads Karen away in handcuffs, she looks back at me with pure hatred. "This isn't over, Coleman. I'll be out on bail by tonight." That's when Emma steps up beside me and says something that gives me chills. "Actually, Mrs. Hilton, by tonight you'll have much bigger problems than bail." Karen's eyes narrow. "What's that supposed to mean?" Emma smiles. "It means you forgot something important when you planned this whole scheme. Today's not just my wedding day. Today's the day the FBI gets very interested in a certain property development fraud case that crosses state lines." I look at my daughter in amazement. She's been planning this counterattack for longer than just the past 3 days. But as Karen gets shoved into the patrol car, I catch sight of her expression in the window. She's not defeated, she's furious. And something tells me this fight is far from over. With Karen in handcuffs and her fake agents exposed, you'd think the story was over. But at 3 o'clock, just as Emma's walking down the aisle in the most unconventional wedding setup you've ever seen, my phone rings. It's Sheriff Davis, Karen's brother-in-law. His voice is ice cold. "Coleman, you made a big mistake today. Karen's out on bail, and she's got something you're going to want to see." I step away from the wedding ceremony, my heart pounding. "What are you talking about?" "Check your email, right now." I open my phone and find a message from an anonymous account. Inside are photos, dozens of them. Pictures of Emma and me meeting with Rick Morrison. Photos of us planning what Karen's calling a criminal conspiracy to file false police reports and frame an innocent community leader. But that's not the worst part. The worst part is the final photo. Emma's law school transcripts, with certain grades highlighted. Grades that show she barely passed her ethics course. Grades that could destroy her legal career if they went public with the right spin. "You see, Coleman," Sheriff Davis continues, "Karen might be facing charges, but she's not going down alone. She's prepared to argue that your daughter orchestrated this entire setup to frame her for property fraud that never existed." My blood turns to ice water. That's insane. We have recordings. Recordings that could have been manufactured. Photos that could have been staged. Karen's got herself a very expensive lawyer now, and he's very good at creating reasonable doubt. I look back at Emma, radiant in her wedding dress, exchanging vows with her fiancé while our friends and neighbors cheer. She has no idea her entire future is hanging by a thread. What do you want? Karen wants her reputation back. She wants all charges dropped. She wants a public apology from you and your daughter for orchestrating this malicious prosecution. And she wants you to voluntarily sell your property to Lakeshore Development for fair market value. And if I don't? Then by Monday morning, every law firm in the state will have copies of your daughter's academic records, along with evidence that she conspired with a known alcoholic to frame a respected community leader. Emma's legal career will be over before it starts. I close my eyes and feel the weight of complete defeat crushing down on me. Karen didn't just have a backup plan, she had a nuclear option. She was willing to destroy my daughter's future to protect her property scheme. You have 1 hour to decide, Sheriff Davis says, then hangs up. I walk back toward the wedding reception, trying to keep the smile on my face while my world collapses around me. Emma's laughing with her new husband, surrounded by friends who stood by us when everyone else ran away. She's never looked happier. How can I tell her that her courage just cost her everything? Rick Morrison appears at my elbow, still holding his recorder. Jack, you look like someone just walked over your grave. I explain Karen's ultimatum, watching Rick's face grow darker with every word. That manipulative witch, he mutters. She's been planning this contingency for months. I should have seen it coming. Rick, is there any way those recordings won't hold up in court? He shakes his head grimly. With the right lawyer, Karen could claim I edited them, that we manufactured evidence to frame her. It's her word against a drunk's, and she knows it. Emma notices us talking and walks over, still glowing from her ceremony. Dad, what's wrong? You look terrible. I can't do it. I can't tell my daughter on her wedding day that standing up to Karen just destroyed her career. So I lie. Nothing, sweetheart. Just tired from all the excitement. But Emma's too smart for that. She sees right through me, just like she always has. Dad, what happened? What aren't you telling me? Before I can answer, a black sedan pulls up to the edge of our property. 2 people in actual federal suits get out. Not Karen's theater friends, but real FBI agents with real badges. Agent Sarah Chen approaches us with a folder in her hand. Mr. Coleman, Agent Chen, FBI. We need to speak with you about Karen Hilton's property development scheme. Emma straightens up, back in lawyer mode. Are we under investigation? Agent Chen smiles. On the contrary, Ms. Coleman, your evidence has been extremely helpful in our ongoing investigation into interstate fraud. We've been tracking Lakeshore Development's activities across 3 states for over a year. I stare at her. You've been investigating this? Karen Hilton made one critical mistake, Agent Chen explains. When she expanded her operation beyond state lines, it became a federal case. We've been waiting for someone brave enough to come forward with evidence. Rick steps forward with his recorder. Agent Chen, I've got 6 months of recorded conversations documenting the entire scheme. Agent Chen's eyes light up. Mr. Morrison, those recordings are exactly what we need to make federal charges stick. Interstate wire fraud, conspiracy, racketeering. Karen Hilton's looking at serious federal time. That's when Emma asks the question that changes everything. Agent Chen, what about the photos Karen took of us planning our defense? Can she use those to claim we framed her? Agent Chen looks confused. What photos? I show her Karen's email on my phone. Agent Chen studies the images, then starts laughing. Mr. Coleman, these photos actually help our case. They show Karen Hilton conducting illegal surveillance and attempting to intimidate witnesses in a federal investigation. She just admitted obstruction of justice to her charges. The weight lifts off my shoulders so fast I nearly fall over. Emma grabs my arm, understanding immediately what almost happened. Dad, were you about to sacrifice everything to protect my career? Emma, She hugs me tight, right there in front of everyone. I love you too, Dad, but next time, trust me to fight my own battles. Agent Chen interrupts our moment. Mr. Coleman, there's one more thing. Karen Hilton's bail has been revoked. She violated her conditions by attempting witness intimidation. She won't be bothering you again. As the FBI agents drive away with Rick's recordings as evidence, I look around at my property. The fake federal barriers are gone. The threatening signs removed. My neighbors are apologizing, admitting they should have trusted me instead of believing Karen's lies. But the real victory isn't getting my property back or clearing my name. The real victory is watching Emma dance with her new husband while our friends celebrate around us, knowing that sometimes standing up to bullies works out exactly the way it's supposed to. You know what they say about karma? Sometimes it drives a black sedan and carries federal badges. The FBI agents are barely down the driveway when my phone starts buzzing with calls from neighbors I haven't heard from in months. Suddenly, everyone wants to apologize, to explain how they always knew something was wrong with Karen's story. But there's one call that stops me cold. Mr. Coleman, this is Detective Williams with the State Police Financial Crimes Unit. We need to talk about your homeowners association's books. I step away from the wedding reception again, that familiar knot forming in my stomach. What about them? Karen Hilton wasn't just stealing individual properties, sir. She's been embezzling HOA funds for 2 years. Every monthly payment, every special assessment, every fine she collected, it all went into accounts controlled by her and Lakeshore Development. The numbers hit me like a punch to the gut. Our HOA collected about $30,000 annually from 67 households. Over 2 years, we're talking about over $120,000 in stolen community funds, Detective Williams continues. Money that was supposed to go toward road maintenance, snow removal, community improvements. None of it happened because Karen was funneling everything to her property scheme. I look around at our neighborhood, really look at it for the first time in months. The potholes in the community roads that never got fixed, the broken streetlights that Karen kept promising to repair, the community pool that's been under renovation for 18 months. Detective, what does this mean for the homeowners? It means everyone who paid HOA fees is a victim of theft, and it means Karen Hilton's federal charges just became the least of her problems. Emma appears beside me as I hang up. Dad, more bad news? Actually, I think it might be the opposite. I explain about the embezzled HOA funds, watching her lawyer brain process the implications. Dad, do you realize what this means? Karen wasn't just running a property theft scheme, she was running a full-scale criminal enterprise. The FBI, state police, probably the IRS too. She's looking at decades in federal prison. But even as we're talking, I notice something that makes my blood run cold. Thomas Anderson is standing by himself near the edge of the reception, looking terrified and checking his phone every few seconds. I walk over to him. Thomas, everything okay? He shakes his head. Jack, Karen called me from jail 20 minutes ago. She says she's going to tell the police that I helped her with the books, that I knew about the embezzlement and got a cut. Did you? God, no, but I signed some documents she gave me without reading them carefully. Routine HOA stuff, or so I thought. Now I'm wondering if she set me up as her fall guy from the beginning. That's Karen's final trap, and it's diabolical. Even from jail, she's still trying to destroy people's lives. If Thomas gets charged as her accomplice, his son Michael's recovery and new life get shattered too. Thomas, we need to get you a lawyer. With what money? Karen's legal fees are probably going to bankrupt the HOA fund recovery. None of us can afford to fight federal charges. Emma overhears this and walks over. Mr. Anderson, what exactly did you sign for Karen? Thomas pulls out his phone and shows Emma photos of various documents. She studies them carefully, her expression growing more concerned with each one. Mr. Anderson, these aren't routine HOA documents. These are bank signature cards, withdrawal authorizations, investment account access forms. Karen basically made you an unwitting co-signer on every illegal transaction she made. The color drains from Thomas's face. She planned this from the beginning, didn't she? Set me up as the patsy in case everything went wrong. Emma nods grimly. Dad, Karen's not just evil. She's smart. She made sure that if she went down, she'd take other people with her. That's when Jacob Turner runs up to us, still in his security uniform from documenting Karen's fake operation earlier. Mr. Coleman, you need to see this. He shows us his phone. It's a text message from one of the theater actors who played a fake federal agent. The message is terrifying. Karen promised us $5,000 each if we stick to the story that you and your daughter paid us to pretend to be federal agents. says she can prove you orchestrated the whole thing to frame her. I stare at the phone in disbelief. Even facing federal charges, even with all her schemes exposed, Karen's still fighting. She's trying to flip the entire narrative, make us look like the criminals. Jacob, how many actors is she trying to flip? All of them. Danny, her cousin, already agreed to testify that you approached him about impersonating federal agents. Karen's promising to pay their legal fees if they cooperate. Emma's face goes white. Dad, if those actors testify that we hired them to fake a federal investigation, we could face federal charges ourselves. Conspiracy, obstruction of justice, filing false reports. The irony is bitter. We exposed Karen's crimes, but now she's trying to make us look like the masterminds behind those same crimes. And with her expensive lawyer and our word against multiple witnesses, she might actually pull it off. The wedding reception is still going on around us. People laughing, dancing, celebrating our victory over Karen. But I can see the real battle is just beginning. Emma, on your wedding day, I need to ask you something that no father should ever have to ask his daughter. She takes my hand. What, Dad? Are you prepared to fight this all the way to federal court? Because that's what it's going to take. And there's a real chance we could lose everything. Your career, my freedom, our home, our reputation. Emma looks at her new husband, then at our friends and neighbors who stood by us, then back at me. Dad, do you remember what you taught me when I was little? About doing the right thing even when it's hard? I remember. Well, stopping Karen Hilton is the right thing, and if we have to go through hell to do it, then that's what we'll do. As the sun starts to set over the lake, casting long shadows across what should have been a perfect wedding day, I realize this isn't the end of our story with Karen. It's just the end of the beginning. 3 weeks later, I'm sitting in a federal courtroom watching Karen Hilton's world completely collapse. Agent Chen was right about one thing. Karen made too many mistakes trying to cover her tracks. When the FBI forensic accountants went through Lakeshore Development's books, they found a paper trail that stretched across 4 states and involved over $3 million in fraudulent property seizures. But here's the kicker. Remember those theater actors Karen tried to flip against us? Turns out accepting money to lie to federal investigators is also a federal crime. When the FBI explained that they could face 5 years in prison for perjury, every single one of them broke down and confessed that Karen had coached them on what to say. Danny, her cousin, actually brought a recording of Karen, instructing him how to testify against Emma and me. Just stick to the story. Karen's voice plays through the courtroom speakers. Say Jack Coleman paid you $5,000 cash to impersonate federal agents. Say his daughter Emma gave you the fake badges and told you what to say. The federal prosecutor turns to the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, this recording was made 3 days after Karen Hilton's arrest. Even while facing federal charges herself, she was actively trying to manufacture evidence against the very people who exposed her crimes. Karen's expensive lawyer tries to object, but the damage is done. The jury can see exactly what kind of person they're dealing with. Emma testified yesterday, and I've never been prouder of anyone in my life. She walked the jury through every step of Karen's scheme with the precision of a surgeon and the passion of someone who almost lost everything fighting for what's right. Karen Hilton didn't just steal properties, Emma told the jury. She stole trust. She turned neighbors against neighbors, made people afraid to speak up, convinced an entire community that the victim was the criminal. That's not just fraud, that's psychological terrorism. The final blow comes when Rick Morrison takes the stand, sober, sharp, and armed with 6 months of Karen's own words condemning her. She told me the beauty of the scheme was that victims would be too embarrassed to fight back, Rick testifies. She said, "Who's going to admit they fell for fake federal agents? People would rather lose their property than look stupid in the court." Karen's face is stone cold as Rick plays recording after recording of her planning property thefts, bribing officials, blackmailing neighbors. But I catch her expression when Rick plays the final recording, the one where she's planning to frame Emma and me for her own crimes. For just a moment, her mask slips, and I see something that looks almost like shame. The jury deliberates for 47 minutes. Guilty on all federal charges, interstate fraud, conspiracy, racketeering, obstruction of justice, witness intimidation. The judge sentences Karen to 12 years in federal prison with no possibility of parole for 8 years. But that's not the end of it. Thomas Anderson avoided charges completely when the investigation proved he was just another victim of Karen's manipulation. The state recovered most of the embezzled HOA funds from Karen's accounts, and Thomas was elected as the new HOA president by unanimous vote. His first official act? Dissolving all the ridiculous rules Karen had imposed over the years, and refunding 2 years of illegal fines to every homeowner. Sheriff Davis resigned in disgrace when the FBI investigation revealed he'd been taking payments to ignore complaints about Karen's activities. Deputy Martinez was promoted to interim sheriff and cleaned house of anyone else on Karen's payroll. The Lakeshore Development executives are facing their own federal charges in 3 other states. Turns out Karen's property scheme was just one small part of a massive real estate fraud operation. As for Emma and me, well, 3 weeks after her wedding, Emma got a job offer from the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit. Apparently, exposing interstate fraud conspiracies on your wedding day is the kind of resume item that gets you noticed in law enforcement circles. I'm back to my quiet life by the lake, but with one difference, my neighbors actually wave when they see me now. Mrs. Patterson brings me cookies every Sunday. The Johnson family invited me to their son's graduation party. Thomas and I are back to fishing together every weekend. But the real victory happened yesterday. Emma and her husband bought the lot next to mine, the same property Karen tried to steal from the Henderson family last year. They're building their first home there, right on the water where their kids can grow up fishing and swimming in the same lake where their grandfather chose to make his stand. Sometimes at sunset, I sit on my dock and think about Karen Hilton. She's probably in some federal prison cell right now, wondering how a simple property theft scheme spiraled into a 12-year sentence. The answer's pretty simple, actually. She forgot that some things are worth fighting for, no matter the cost. She forgot that communities are stronger than the bullies who try to tear them apart. And she forgot the most important lesson of all. When you mess with someone's family, you better be prepared for war. As I watch Emma and her husband planning their new house, I realize Karen actually did me a favor. She showed me that I raised a daughter who'll fight for what's right, no matter what it costs her. She showed me which neighbors are worth having and which ones fold the moment things get difficult. And she reminded me that sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even. It's building something better than what the other person tried to destroy. You know what we named Emma's new street address? Coleman's Stand. Because some battles are worth winning and some stands are worth taking, even when the whole world thinks you're crazy for taking them. Karen thought she could steal my daughter's wedding day, my property, and my peace of mind. Instead, she gave me something much more valuable, the absolute certainty that when evil comes knocking on your door, you don't have to open it. You can fight back, and sometimes, if you're lucky and stubborn enough, you can win.